This is TWiT.
So they have some new software that will let teachers monitor classroom performance, share assignments with kids. I think the biggest announcement from my point of view, from most people watching's point of view, is they're finally going to update iWork. And it looks like, and I bet you have some interest in this, Alex, they're going to take iBooks Author, which you were really excited about when it came out, but really did not take the world by storm. And they're going to fold all of its capabilities into Pages. So
we'll see if they fold all of them or most of them. I have a feeling that, for me, this is kind of falling backwards a little bit as far as going from iBook Author to Pages. Pages is fine, and I'm sure that you'll get more books out of it than having a separate application. Now people can just use that. I think that not a lot of people use iBooks Author, and not a lot of people use Pages, and so maybe you can get them to combine into a reasonable number of people. So I think that Pages has always been, for me, a little heavy. It just feels heavy when you use it. It's not as responsive. It has lots of great media tools that just feel slow when you're working with them. So, it's not something that I've used, that I even use heavily. And so I think it'll be, to create something that is a slightly better book, I think that Pages is going to be great. I still think they're missing the opportunity to build something great.
The new Pages will have pencil support. Users will be able to add drawings and use something called Smart Annotation. The underlines and annotations aren't just illustrations sitting on the page. They're somehow attached to the words around them. So I guess when you reflow the document, the annotations, you can see here in this animation that go around with it. Pages will also allow book authors to include photos, videos, graphics from Apple Pencil, and more. Share finished books into iBooks. That was kind of one of the key features of iBooks Author. Group authoring will be enabled. Teachers can, in fact, group support for all the iWorks apps will be enabled. Teachers can annotate, send in documents to mark work. There'll be a new presenter mode in Pages, transforming the iPad into a teleprompter. You can set a screen of text to auto-scroll at an adjustable speed. And then there's a new app for teachers called Schoolwork, which lets teachers dole out digital assignments to students. Apple also talked a little bit about the augmented reality capabilities of the new iPads. Actually, it's the same as the old iPads, except there's a faster processor. But they did point out that there are going to be a lot more AR apps for students in education. Schoolwork will also support ClassKit. We'd heard about ClassKit before. It's in iOS 11.3. That means third-party apps can link into and out of Schoolwork. So I imagine that'll happen as well. I am not an educator. I've had some, I've worked as a trustee for a high school for 6 years, and I have had kids, as you have, Tanya, in school, as you have, Alex, as well. I'm not blown away by this. I actually had hoped Apple would do maybe a little bit more for education. It's great that Apple celebrated education, but I thought they would do a little more. You agree, Tanya, or disagree?
Well, it seems incremental. There's nothing here that's really, surprising, but it seems as though Apple is kind of waving their hand and saying, hey, we are thinking about education and we are taking some baby steps. And a couple of the steps they took, I think the Schoolwork application, we have to see how it will really work in the real world, but it seems like a positive step. And one thing that I noticed was that they will now be supporting on iPads bought for education, the ability to have more than one account on an iPad.
That huge.
Sounded awfully interesting. And particularly for a school that's trying to get iPads into the classroom, but they can't afford one iPad per kid. That could be pretty huge, depending on how it works out. We don't want the kids to have to spend 20 minutes a day just logging in and out of their iPads, of course, but hopefully it will be much more smooth and elegant. So it feels like Apple's putting a number of things out there, kind of almost to see what might become most popular, most used. They've got the AR, they've got the idea that kids could be doing a lot of digital media creation, they've got the pencil now, affordable. It's a much more affordable iPad that you can now use the pencil with. So it gives teachers a lot of different directions and schools a lot of different directions they could start moving ahead in if they so wish. Apple also, I think by making this announcement and choosing to go in this direction, they're saying once again that they're really not planning to come up with anything like a Chromebook competitor. They're doing something really different.
Yeah, this isn't so different at all. In fact, Apple showed things like this, dissect a frog application, Frogopedia, so you can dissect a frog with a pencil, but not a real frog. But this has been around for a while. What's new is that you can use a pencil to do the dissection. It's an augmented reality app. It might be better using a pencil than your finger. But yeah, I'm actually a little disappointed. I was hoping to see more, frankly, from Apple. Not necessarily more hardware, but just more aggressive support for education. Maybe even some subsidies and bigger discounts. It doesn't feel like this is something that is going to change the equation when it comes to schools and the iPad. Alex?
Yeah, I don't think that they're trying to take over. I think that they are taking the schools that are on the edge and trying to lean them a little bit their direction. So they're handling a bunch of the management issues that were definitely way behind, and then trying to show where they stand out against the Chromebook. There's just a lot of those very interactive, very fun things that they're showing there are definitely more difficult to do on a Chromebook than they are on an iPad. They're obviously not. They're not trying to be a Chromebook because that's going to be harder to go down that path. But I do think that they are trying to show where they tried to look for areas in the education market where they exemplify.